Hi guys, and welcome back to the Caribbean Spot. In today's video, episode 7, Gaston, we here again. Let's get into this video. Two court filings, one billionaire shows up uninvited, subpoenas blocked, questions rising. They call it a fishing expedition. But what they're really afraid of is what those lines might reel in. Let's get into it. On May 2nd, 2025, two major legal filings dropped in the U.S. federal case. In re Gaston Browne corruption discovery application. Case number 25-MC-98JMF. These weren't minor objections. They were full-scale legal offenses to stop the Alfa Nero subpoenas cold. Document 44, filed by the West Indies Oil Company, WIOC, and Document 45, filed by lawyers for the Antigua movements linked to the government. Both sought to quash subpoenas that were legally approved to extract financial records related to the $120 million Alfa Nero yacht sale. West Indies Oil Company, WIOC, claimed they weren't involved in the sale. Gaston Browne doesn't control WIOC, and the subpoena was a massive fishing expedition. Well, the Antigua movement argued Yulia's legal filing was politically motivated. The subpoenas were part of a propaganda campaign. Her intentions were not credible. But what neither filing disputes is this: the yacht was seized, the law was amended after it docked, the sale remains legally challenged, and public funds are being used for private defense. If it's all legal, why block discovery? WIOC's lawyers argue the banking records are irrelevant because the trial in Antigua already happened and an appeal may not allow new evidence. But if everything is clean, why not just show the records? There is no objection basis to believe these records would help. WIOC document 44, that's what they're saying, right? But the point is, how would we know? Yeah, that part. How would we know if the records are never revealed? We wouldn't know if it would help or not if you keep it sealed. Duh. Trying to prevent discovery and disclosure only deepens suspicion. This isn't about law. This is about control over what the public sees, what the court receives, and who gets exposed. I just thought I should add this in here. So WIOC states that Gaston Browne does not control, WIOC, West Indies Oil Company. However, his wife is on the board. So, yeah. So while the legal teams were in court trying to shut the doors on discovery, something else was happening across the ocean. Because one of the men subpoenaed in this case didn't just file a motion. He didn't even respond through legal counsel. He showed up, uninvited, unannounced, and at the exact law office of the woman demanding answers. Let's talk about what happened next. He showed up at their office. U.S. Federal Court filing May 21st, 2025, document 46. On May 14, 2025, something happened that now sits in the official U.S. court record. And it changes everything. Alki David, a billionaire businessman, emailed the London office of the law firm representing Yulia Guria Mutlakoff, the woman fighting to reclaim the ownership of the Alfa Nero yacht. According to official court filings, Mr. David has not appeared in this action, but is one of the subjects of the court-approved subpoenas, which are subject to the pending motions to quash. Document 46, page 1. This means Alki David was subpoenaed in the Alfa Nero corruption discovery case. His financial records or connections are part of the discovery Yulia's legal team requested. He has not responded through the legal process. Instead, he physically showed up uninvited at the London office of the woman's attorney, and he had to be removed by police. Let that settle in. This wasn't just any law firm. This was the exact law office of the woman, Yulia, whose yacht was seized by the Gaston Browne government. The woman currently in court challenging that sale, and the woman whose ownership claim was ignored when the yacht was sold off. Of all the law offices in the world, he chose that one. Before showing up at the law office, Mr. David emailed the firm on May 14th, proposing a meeting to discuss what he described as matters of service, and claiming he had filed a lawsuit in Antigua and Barbuda. But instead of waiting for a response, later that same day, he showed up in person at the law firm. According to the U.S. court filing, Mr. David appeared at the firm's London office, obtained access to the firm's floor by misrepresenting that he had an appointment, then refused to leave. Apparently intending to serve documents on the office's administrative partner. Mr. David ultimately had to be removed by Council's London employees and local law enforcement. And this comes from document 46, case number 1:25-MC-00098-JMF. Let's ask some questions here. Why didn't Mr. David respond through the court like everyone else? Why go to that specific law office, the one representing Yulia seeking financial records tied to the Alfa Nero sale? And why do all this before they even had a chance to reply to his email? He emailed, he showed up uninvited, he misrepresented himself, he refused to leave, he was removed by police. Whether acting alone or not, this looks bad. And it makes one thing painfully clear. If there's nothing to hide, why are they fighting so hard to block discovery? Because what kind of subpoenaed individual contacts opposing legal counsel, shows up without warning, lies to get in, and refuses to leave? Innocent people don't fight this hard to block the truth. Innocent people don't mislead to prove their transparency. And no one acting in good faith corners the opposing legal team. This isn't how truth behaves. This is not how justice works. This is how intimidation looks, and the world is watching. May 15, 2025, Antigua Newsroom reported, the legal defense in the U.S. Alfa Nero case now stands at $136,000 paid by the Antigua and Barbuda Treasury. Let's pause right here. That's not Gaston Browne's personal checkbook. It kind of seems like it, right? You just write a check to pay legal bills. Like, oh yeah, he's the Minister of Wasteful Finance, right? That's not Gaston Browne's personal checkbook. That's not a private legal bill. That's $136,000 of your money taken from your treasury to defend a man named personally in a U.S. corruption inquiry. Let's be clear. This court case is entitled The Government of Antigua versus Julia. It's not the people of Antigua versus foreign powers. It's called In Re Gaston Browne Corruption Discovery Application, filed in the Southern District of New York, case number 1:25-MC-00098-JMF. His name, his defense, your money. So the question must be asked, why are the people of Antigua and Barbuda paying the legal bills for a man who is being investigated personally? And is this only for that amount? Is it only for Gaston, or is it for the entire Antiguan movants? That's the next question, right? And if this is not about him, but about the country, why is the case bearing his name and not yours, Antigua? They're not saying they're taking Antigua to court, so why is Antigua paying for Gaston Browne's case? And while your hospitals need medicine, your schools need funding, teachers need paying, and your infrastructure is crumbling, $136,000 has been already spent not to serve you, but to shield him because he's fighting in court. So before we even get to Telemac, we need to sit with that. Antigua and Barbuda, is this justice? Is this leadership? Is this how public money is supposed to be spent in silence? Because if everything was done legally, why is Gaston Browne not covering his own legal fees? Why is Gaston Browne and the Antigua Movans not covering their legal fees? And while the people of Antigua and Barbuda are footing the bill for this personal legal fight, the man at the center of it, Prime Minister Gaston Browne, has one explanation for how the yacht was sold. In Parliament, Gaston Browne deflected. I did not negotiate the deal. This was handled by Darwin Telemac. And the port manager confirmed, I was the one who negotiated the sale. Obviously, I had cabinet approval to proceed. Yes, indeed. Interesting. Because this wasn't just any transaction. This was the sale of a so-called state-claimed asset, a vessel worth over $120 million. This kind of deal that would typically involve the Attorney General, the Minister of Finance, wasteful finance, or a designated government broker. But instead, it was handed off to the port manager, as if you could hand off the sale of a national asset to Mary or John or Thomas on the street. What gave Darwin Telemac so much power and trust? Has he brokered deals like this before? And why was he chosen to carry it out? That's what we want to know. Why him? Because here's what makes this even more curious. The final sale to the Turkish company was indeed handled by Darwin Telemac, as he stated. He confirmed it. He did it, right? But before that, there were 2 failed deals already on the table. And according to a sworn U.S. court filing, businessman Warren Hale said he wasn't negotiating with Telemac. He was negotiating with Prime Minister Gaston Browne, the Attorney General, the Deputy AG, and Ambassador, Sir Ronald Sanders. Remember that man who said, in everyone's mind, there is no doubt that this ship belongs to Antigua. That guy. The lie. So let's ask, how did Gaston go from hands-on actively involved in sale negotiations to suddenly being hands off, telling Parliament he had nothing to do with it. One minute he's leading the charge, the next he's passing the baton to Darwin. That's not just convenient, that's strategic. So let's recap. A national asset was sold under questionable authority. A port manager was suddenly given full negotiating power. Never heard that in the Caribbean before. And the prime minister, who was once hands-on, now claims he was never involved. Meanwhile, the public is covering his legal fees in a case that bears his name. And yet, instead of answering these concerns with transparency, Gaston Browne is pointing the finger. So who's really hurting Antigua's image? PM Gaston Browne has publicly claimed these malicious attacks could damage our country's reputation. But let's pause right here, because his own lawyers are now saying even more in black and white. Court filing May 2nd, 2025, document 45. Applicant's counsel now tells this court that the records may bear on a supposedly upcoming snap election in Antigua and Barbuda. Prime Minister Browne's political plans have nothing to do with any foreign legal actions. Document 45, page 3, case number 1:MC-00098-JMF. Translation? They're saying that Yulia's real motive isn't about justice. They're saying she's only doing this now to damage Gaston's re-election chances. But here's the thing. Who even cares about your re-election, Gaston? Like, really, who? Who? Nobody? Okay. We're talking about a super yacht sold under suspicious laws, hidden bank trails, and a cover-up unfolding in international court filings. This isn't about political sabotage. This is about truth. And your people deserve it. The Caribbean deserve it. You represent us. We deserve truth. Show us your books. Why fight it? They're saying, oh, that's what she doing, bad faith. She just want to destroy we country. Yada, yada, yada. The opposition acting with them too. You understand? Treason. Let me get into it. That's a fair tactic, but it's not working. Gaston Browne has accused critics of trying to burn the country down, calling it treason, saying the opposition is working with foreign actors to destabilize the nation. But let's be honest. Is asking where the money went treason? No. Is filing a legal discovery request sabotage? No. Is transparency a threat to sovereignty? No. And they call themselves educated and leaders of our country. They want to call themselves heads of state. You're not heads, you're tails. That's what you guys are. Tails of state. If people are shedding light on corruption, that's not sabotage. That's accountability. You have YouTubers, journalists, bloggers all around the world exposing wrongdoing in high offices. Does that collapse government? No. Does that change the price of bread? No. Countries survive scrutiny every single day. Gaston Browne, I'm going to say it again. Countries survive scrutiny every single day, and so will yours. Let's talk facts. Here's some global proof. Singapore, 2023. Transport Ministry scandal, no collapse. France, Macron's pension protest, still hosting world leaders. 2025, Candace Owens. did a expose on Macron's, that's a France people, Brigitte Macron expose, right? Did that collapse France? No, we got some truth out of it, right? Our eyes are open to a lot of things, right? But did that collapse France? No. USA, we have Trump, Biden, Clinton, Nixon, all investigated. The dollar is still strong. UK, Partygate scandal, Boris Johnson grilled, Britain held firm. The real threat isn't inquiry, it's silence. Investors don't fear questions, they fear corruption without answers. If Antigua wants to protect its image, show the books, follow the law, and cooperate with the courts and stop fighting it and making the people of Antigua pay for your legal defense while you build your big mansion. This fire didn't start with Yulia. It didn't start with the opposition. It didn't start with the foreign media or court filings. It started the moment your government, Gaston Browne, touched what wasn't yours. Wait, hold on. Yeah, I think I just heard Sir Sanders saying, in everyone's mind, there is no doubt that this vessel belongs to Antigua. What a lie. You detained the yacht, you passed the law, you sold the asset, and now you're using the public treasury like a personal piggy bank to fund your legal defense in a case with your name on it. And while building a mansion in plain view, you guys are something else. Heads of tail. The heads of tail. That's how I have to call you guys now, right? You corrupt leaders in the Caribbean. You are the new heads of tails. Because only tails all they're telling. My apologies, I digress. So let's go back to this. So you're building your mansion in plain view, all while accusing others of tearing down the country's image. But let's be honest, Gaston, it's not you that's feeling the heat, Prime Minister. It's the people on the ground, the small man, the taxpayers, the citizens. And now there are protesters outside the OAS in Washington, D.C., not smearing Antigua, not spreading propaganda, but demanding accountability. Where did the Alfa Nero money go? This isn't foreign interference. This is Antiguans and the global witnesses demanding justice. This isn't defamation. This is called receipts. And if your hands are clean, show the audit trail, release the invoices, and stop blaming the people for your decisions. Because at this point, you pay Antigua, he's building. And the world is watching. Well guys, that's all for this video. Don't forget to share, like, leave your comments in the comments below, and see you on the next one. Bye.